Men pay one way or another when it comes to their interactions with women. How much they pay and what they pay with, however, varies significantly depending on the nature of the relationship. Let's start with the most transactional form of a relationship: prostitution. In this scenario, the exchange is clear-cut. Men pay with money for a specific service, usually sexual in nature. It's a straightforward transaction with defined terms, boundaries, and expectations. The payment is tangible, measurable, and finite. There's no ambiguity about what is being exchanged and what each party is receiving. The economic aspect of this relationship is simple: money for a service. With prostitution, men know exactly what they are paying for, and the transaction ends there. There are no strings attached, no ongoing obligations, and no emotional investments. In a purely financial sense, this might seem like the most cost-effective way for a man to pay in his interactions with women, as it is confined strictly to monetary terms. However, let's contrast this with what happens in a committed relationship. Here the dynamics shift dramatically. While you might spend less money on a date than you would in a transactional relationship with an escort, the payment in committed relationships involves much more than just finances. You are paying with your time, which is arguably the most valuable and finite resource you possess. Every date, every hour spent texting or talking, every moment devoted to planning and compromising is time that you will never get back, but time is just the beginning. In committed relationships, you also pay with your attention and emotional energy. Maintaining a relationship requires nurturing, understanding, and sometimes emotional labour. You invest your focus on one person, often at the expense of other potential interests or pursuits. This exclusivity can mean giving up other opportunities, whether they are social, romantic, or even professional. Exclusivity also brings in another cost: compromise. In a committed relationship, you constantly navigate a balance between your needs and your partner's needs. This requires flexibility and sometimes surrendering your own desires for the sake of harmony. Whether it's small sacrifices like choosing a movie you're not excited about, or bigger life decisions like relocating or adjusting career goals, compromise is a form of payment that can have far-reaching implications on your personal freedom and long-term happiness. Then there's the fact that in committed relationships, unlike in transactional arrangements with an escort, there is no guaranteed return on investment when it comes to sex or even relationship satisfaction. You might dedicate significant time, attention, and resources only to face rejection or unfulfilled expectations. The uncertainty and potential for emotional fallout represent another layer of cost that is often underestimated at the outset. So when we put it all together, while you might technically spend less money on a date than you would on a prostitute, the cumulative value of time, attention, exclusivity, compromise, and the emotional toll of navigating a committed relationship can easily exceed the difference in mere financial terms. Now here's the upside to this dynamic. The cost of access to a woman, whether it's her time, attention, or sexual opportunities, decreases as her interest and attraction towards you increase. Simply put, the more she likes you, the less you have to invest. While it's never entirely without cost, a genuine connection and attraction make the price considerably lower and the process much easier. Think about it. When a woman is genuinely attracted to you, she's eager to spend time with you, and she'll clear her schedule, making herself available with little hassle. She won't set up obstacles or demand excessive gestures because she values the interaction itself, and being with you is a reward in and of itself. She doesn't need to be compensated heavily with gifts, grand gestures, or elaborate dates because her primary currency in this exchange is the connection she feels. She's invested, and as a result, the cost to you is relatively low. You might still pay with some time and attention. The path to accessing her company, her affection, and yes, sexual opportunity is largely unobstructed. On the other hand, the men who pay the most are often those who are met with the least interest or attraction. Let me emphasize that point. The men who pay the most are the ones that women are least interested in. When a woman isn't truly into a man, when her attraction isn't there, she needs additional reasons to stick around. In those situations, her lack of authentic interest gets compensated by other benefits: money, gifts, lifestyle perks, or some form of emotional support that she otherwise doesn't feel compelled to reciprocate fully. This scenario resembles a transaction where the price is inflated because the inherent value is lacking. For men who want to be with women who genuinely desire them, this creates a fundamental imbalance. Essentially, the higher the cost, the less sense it makes to pay it, because the more you invest, the further you are from what you truly seek: authentic affection, attraction, and connection. Let's face it, that's not a scenario that appeals to most men, paying a premium only to receive a half-hearted, obligatory response in return. It's not what anyone is truly seeking, but this pattern makes a kind of sad sense. If a woman isn't authentically interested in a man, if she doesn't find him attractive or appealing on her own terms, then staying in the interaction becomes a matter of compensation. She needs to get something out of it, because the natural draw, the intrinsic desire, simply isn't there. So what does this all mean? It means that the goal shouldn't be to try to outspend, outgift, or out-effort the competition. Instead, it should be about seeking and fostering genuine connections where mutual interest and attraction lower the price for both parties. When a woman wants to be with you for who you are rather than what you can offer her materially or otherwise, that's when you're truly getting the best value from the relationship. When a man's not particularly attractive to a specific woman, he ends up paying more in indirect costs and intangibles to secure the same opportunities that a more attractive man might get at a discount. It's the same principle in play, except instead of talking purely about money, we're talking about the other forms of currency in relationships: time, effort, emotional investment, and sometimes even the sacrifices of one's personal values or preferences. Essentially, the less attraction a woman feels, the higher the cost she imposes to compensate for that lack of natural pull. So if you're a man who wants to have more affordable access to women, affordable in terms of all those resources, not just money, your primary consideration should be increasing your overall attractiveness. The more attractive you are, the more you naturally appeal to a woman's desires and interests, and the less you need to compensate with other costly resources. Attractiveness allows you to access the same sexual and romantic opportunities, but at a fraction of the effort, energy, or expenditure. This is where the smart investment comes in. Rather than pouring your resources into every specific opportunity with women, which is essentially a case-by-case expense, it makes more sense to invest in yourself. This might mean spending time at the gym, refining your style, developing your social skills, or working on your confidence and emotional intelligence. It might involve financial investment in your appearance or experiences that build your character and presence. You're going to be paying either way, whether through direct expenditures, on dates and gifts, or through the effort and compromises in relationships that don't naturally align. So if you're going to pay, it makes far more sense to direct that investment into yourself, into your own attractiveness, which will then pay dividends across your interactions with women. For some men, there's a prevalent belief that all women inherently want relationships. Many men hold these assumptions that women want a relationship with every man they sleep with, and that women only sleep with men with whom they're in a relationship. Women, just like men, have varied desires and motivations when it comes to sex and relationships. Some women are open to casual encounters without the expectation of a relationship, and others may not be interested in a relationship with. For example, if a man believes that every woman he's interested in sexually must also be interested in a relationship, he may try to pursue a committed relationship, thinking he's offering what she wants in exchange for what he wants, which is sex. This is why you see men who aren't getting sexual access attempting to secure it by proposing a relationship, believing it's the price she's asking. They think they're giving her what she wants in the hopes of getting what they want, but they're operating under a false assumption about her desires. On the flip side, men who do gain sexual access often fear that continued interaction will lead to being tied down in a relationship they didn't necessarily sign up for. This is why you see men ghosting women after they've had sex, believing that if they stick around, she'll inevitably push for commitment. They're avoiding the perceived price of continued engagement because they assume she's going to want more than just the casual interaction they were initially interested in. The subset of men that women are interested in having a relationship with is actually smaller than the subset of men they are interested in sleeping with. This runs counter to a common misconception held by many men that women are always trying to lock them into relationships by default. In reality, women do not want a relationship with just anyone. Their desires, whether for sex, a relationship or both, are driven by two primary factors: a man's value and his attractiveness. Let's break these factors down. When we talk about a man's value, we're referring to things like his net worth, social status, lifestyle, and the overall influence he commands in society. Value is about what he brings to the table beyond just his physical presence. It's the resources, stability, and social proof that he offers. When we talk about a man's attractiveness, on the other hand, we're dealing with factors such as looks, charisma, humour, and confidence. Attractiveness is about how a man presents himself, his physical and social appeal, and how he makes women feel when they're around him. These two factors, value and attractiveness, don't always operate together, and that's where things get complicated. Some men are high in value but not particularly attractive. Women may consider these men for long-term relationships due to the security and resources they provide, but may not be as interested in them on a purely sexual level. Conversely, some men are highly attractive but may lack the value that women seek for a committed relationship. Women may be eager to sleep with these men, but without the value, they might not consider them for anything more serious. For a man seeking to understand what price he might pay in his interactions with women, it's crucial to recognize where he stands in terms of both value and attractiveness. Women will engage with a man and be willing to invest themselves in him in a way that aligns with how he ranks in those two areas. If a man is high in value and attractiveness, then women will seek him out for both sex and relationships, and the cost he pays will be minimal because their interest is organic. If he's high in value but low in attractiveness, women might still seek him for relationships, but may require more compensation when it comes to the physical aspects of the relationship. If he's high in attractiveness but low in value, then women may seek him for casual sex, but might not see him as relationship material, which can frustrate men who want more from their interactions. Finally, if a man is low in both value and attractiveness, his interactions with women will often come at a very high price if they happen at all. Understanding this dynamic is essential for men who want to navigate their relationships and sexual interactions more effectively. Rather than trying to pay the price with money, gifts, or even their time and attention, men should work on increasing their own value and attractiveness. The higher you rank in those categories, the less you have to pay, and the more genuine the connections you build. Ultimately, the truth is this: love, sex, and relationships all have a price. But it's not always a price paid in money. It's often paid in time, effort, and emotional investment. Men must understand that the key to lowering that price isn't to try to negotiate a cheaper deal through external factors, but rather to improve the intrinsic value and attractiveness they bring to the table.